Microsoft has been one of the companies that's benefited the most from the rising effectiveness of artificial intelligence with its investments in OpenAI and its development of ChatGPT. Microsoft is incorporating AI in several of its products, including the Microsoft Office suite. Now, a lot of investors are asking, where does that leave Microsoft stock and where could it be in a couple of years? So that's what I'm going to answer in this video, where I think Microsoft's stock price could be by the end of 2025. So let's look at the estimates and the figures I'm going to use, and then let's look at my estimation for where I think the stock price could be.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So one of the numbers I'm going to need to use is Microsoft's current stock price, which is at $396 per share as of this recording. Another thing I want to look at is the price to earnings ratio. As of this recording, Microsoft is trading at a price to earnings ratio of 38, which is near the higher end of where this stock has traded for going back the last 10 years. You can see there was moments where it was higher, but for the most part, it has traded at a lower price to earnings ratio than 38. Now, in the last year and a half, Microsoft's valuation has increased because of its role in AI and because of its investments in AI. The company has put itself in an excellent position to benefit from that trend. Before we move further, let's take a look at the total addressable market for artificial intelligence. According to Statista, the total addressable market for artificial intelligence is expected to grow to $1.85 trillion by the year 2030. That would be up significantly from the $207.9 billion in 2023. Artificial intelligence is popularized by large language models like ChatGPT, but there are more applications like driverless car technology, recommender systems, and more. The companies that stand to benefit from the growth in this AI surge is companies like Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, Microsoft, and more. Investors getting in today could realize exponential returns from investments that capitalize on the growing effectiveness of artificial intelligence. So now that you've seen those staggering figures, you can see why investor optimism for artificial intelligence is so high. And Microsoft in particular is benefiting from that investor optimism. So another one of the estimates that I'm going to need to make my prediction for where I think Microsoft stock price could be is its earnings per share estimate for fiscal year 2025, which for Microsoft will end in June 2026. So this earnings per share estimate is $15.41. $15.41. So now that we have those estimates, let's come back here to my valuation model. And you can see two of them here. And this one above was when I did the video on where I think Microsoft stock will be in 1 year. So now I'm doing the video on where I think Microsoft stock will be in 2 years. So I'm going to draw your attention to this bottom valuation metric, and I will link to that previous video at the end of this one if you want to check out where Microsoft stock price could be 1 year from now. So the $15.41 estimate for earnings per share for fiscal year 2025, I'm getting directly from here. Remember, this is the consensus estimate from Wall Street analysts that are following Microsoft stock. All of the analysts that are following Microsoft stock submit their forecast for where they think earnings per share will be 2 years from now. And this is the consensus estimate from those analysts. So it puts together all those numbers and gives you an average, gives you the consensus between all those Wall Street analysts. Even though some might think earnings per share will be higher, some might think earnings per share will be lower, this is the average number, and that's the number I'm using in my valuation model here. The 38.5 I'm getting from its current price to earnings ratio. I rounded it up to 38.5 from 38.39. And if the stock performs the same as expected and there are no surprises, then the price to earnings will be 38.5. Earnings per share will come in at $15.41. And the estimated stock price in that scenario will be $593.29, which, if you compare it to the current stock price of $396, would be a roughly 50% increase in 2 years. Now, that's higher than what I think is actually going to happen. That's just the estimate suggesting nothing changes. I don't think that stays the same. I think Microsoft's price to earnings ratio will fall. I think Microsoft's price to earnings ratio will fall. So I have several scenarios here of how much it could fall. If the price to earnings ratio falls to 35, then the stock price could be $539 per share by the end of 2025. If the price to earnings were to fall to 25, the stock price could be $385 per share, which would be lower than where it is now. If, however, the stock price were to fall to a price to earnings of 20, which I also think is highly unlikely, the estimated stock price could be $308 per share, which would be down roughly 25% from where it is today. So now that I've given you these 4 different scenarios of where Microsoft's stock price could be, let me give you my best estimate for where I think the stock price falls between these 4 estimates. And I think Microsoft's stock price falls between a price to earnings of 25 and 35 for an estimated stock price of around $500 per share in 2 years. So I think Microsoft's stock price will rise by roughly 25% over the next 2 years. That's my estimate for where I think the stock price will be. Now, take that estimate with a grain of salt. Throughout the video, I showed you that I'm using several estimates and assumptions, and nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. We can just plug in the best numbers that we have at our disposal and make our best estimates based on our experience as financial analysts. So remember that these are not for sure, these are not guarantees. These are just estimates and assumptions and best guesses based on my experience. However, that being said, I think out of all of these outcomes, that's the most likely outcome. And overall, I have Microsoft stock rated as a buy. I think it makes a good risk versus reward for stock market investors over the next year to 3 to 5 to 10 years. I think the company's in an excellent position, strong market share in the computer industry. Microsoft Windows, one of the highest market share operating systems worldwide, and its investments in AI is only going to help make its services that much more desired. So I hope this video has informed you. I'd be curious to know where you think Microsoft's stock price will be in 2 years. I'd be curious to know what you think the price to earnings will be in the next 2 years. So let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. I know there's a lot you could be doing with your time and a lot of other videos you could be watching. So I truly appreciate that you chose to watch this one. If you want to see more videos just like this, hit the subscribe or the like button. They'll both help me make more videos just like this one. Thank you again.